All right, here's a little video on how to put together the pieces for Emily's baby's quilt. So you had a packet with different squares of fabric, and you need to make 3 different 9 squares with a pink in the center of each. So I had Becca organize these for me. There's one of mine, and here's another, and here's another. The yellow piece you had was kind of wrinkled. You might want to iron that. Okay, what I'm going to do now to start these is I'm going to make, basically, I'm going to put these 3 together to make a row, these 3 together to make a row, these 3 together to make a row, and then sew them along this way. So the way I keep track of which one to sew to which edge is I start with the top corner and I put it on top and on top, and I come over to the sewing machine. Here's the top row in order. I want to sew this right side to this right side, so I'll just fold this over here. It's all nice and square. When you come to, I like to put a piece of tape on my sewing machine that's exactly a 1/4 inch from where your needle will be sewing. So as I'm going through, this line will help me know exactly where to go through. No need to pin. This is cotton on cotton. It sticks to each other very well. So let's see if I can do this. All right, so one thing about quilting is you don't really want to lock the edges like you do on other sewing. So just get your fabric right to the end, and using that guide we were talking about, you're going to just sew a straight seam 1/4 inch from the edge, and then just let it go past, tear it off. You don't have to go back and forth to lock the seam. All right, the yellow one was in the middle. Now I want this right side to it. So this is one's a little bit hard to tell which is the right and which is the back. So this is the right side. Sew that there. Bring it over here again. Start it right on the edge. Zip along. Tear it off. And that's our first swath. So back up. I'm going to bring it over here and come get the next row, remembering the order like we said. This goes on top, and then bring it back over. Okay, I brought the fabric over to the ironing board because it's a good idea to get these seams lying flat before you do the next step. So the reason it didn't matter to lock the stitches for quilting on the when you start and stop is because when you're attaching this next piece here to here, you're going to cross that, and that crossing will lock the stitch. You don't have to have that edge locked off. You waste thread and time. All right, so now I'm going to put these 2 together, and I was going to show you about the pinning, so I'm going to go get my pins. The trick about getting these corners to be exactly square with each other is when you line it up front to front. I get my fingers wet, and try to pinch those together. It's almost like you feel them click into place with each other. And then since you've ironed the right way, it's easy to pin them because both the folds are laying down, sort of built right into each other. So you put your pin perpendicular to the length, the direction of the seam, and then do it again. Get your fingers wet so you can kind of, if there was ever a problem where maybe the fabric wasn't the right length, this would be how you would still get that corner, by sort of wiggling back and forth to get that right, folding them over, and now if you pin right there, the pin going out, then when you sew this, those corners will be exactly on, and you won't need to pin anything else except just the right angle corner. So I'm going to go sew that now. All right, so these corners came out pretty square. So I'm going to do it again. My pink's in the middle. Here's my next piece, right to right. Get my corners together again. There's a word for that I don't know what it is. Get it so that you feel them sort of locking in. And pin it. And again on the other side. And then you can do your last pressing. They'll kind of be going in the same direction. Doesn't really matter what the back looks like. Trim off all those little extra pieces. I always like to do the last one on the outside, on the back, to make sure you're sort of stretching the seams apart a little bit to iron. And there you go. This was the top, right? So that's one done. Ta-da! One done, and you have two more. Come over here. Everybody do their three, and if you need help, you can come to my house. I have the ironing board and the table and the sewing machine, and we can make a beautiful quilt for Emily.